These three morning foods might be keeping your nervous system stuck in fight or flight, and I'm telling you, you are eating at least one of them. If you wake up already feeling wired, or if you crash by mid morning, or if you find that your anxiety spikes up for no reason before noon, your breakfast might be sending a stress signal to your brain before your day even starts. Most people think that nervous system dysregulation is about trauma or their mindset, but what you eat or don't eat within the first hour of waking up directly has an impact on your cortisol, your blood sugar levels, and your stress response. If you're new to this channel, I'm Dr. Bisleen. I'm a naturopathic doctor, and I've worked with thousands of patients on anxiety, brain health, and nervous system reset and regulation. And I can tell you with certainty and from my experience that the first meal of your day sets the tone for your nervous system for the rest of the day. Today, I'm breaking down 3 of the most common foods that I see my patients eating on a day-to-day basis that actually triggers their fight or flight response. And the third one is one that people defend the most. So let's get into it. Right before I dive into the 3 of the most common food triggers, and of course, I'm also going to be telling you how to optimize these foods more so that if you are eating some of these foods, it's not like you have to completely exclude them from your diet. Okay, I'm not about that. I'm all about balance here. So I'm going to be teaching you how to optimize these foods better to support your nervous system state. First, what I really wanted to get into is just to give you an explanation of what happens when you make the wrong food choices, especially for your brain health in the morning. What you essentially really want to avoid in the morning is you want to avoid having really big spikes in your blood sugar levels and then crashes. What happens to a lot of us, like say this is like 7 a.m. or 8 a.m., then by 12 p.m., we're experiencing this crash, right? So our blood sugar spikes based on what we've eaten. I mean, it wouldn't spike like right away as soon as you've eaten something, but around there. And then we end up experiencing a crash around 12 to 1 p.m. And it's this crash that then leads us to have this like destabilized, dysregulated nervous system state. It affects our mood, our focus, our energy, affects literally everything. And that's why we experience so many issues in the morning. And instead, what we want to do, we want to aim for this. We don't want to have that big spike in blood sugar. Instead, what we want to do is we want to have a bit of a rolling hill. That's what we want instead, because this rolling hill is not going to destabilize and dysregulate our nervous system state. Instead, it's going to provide us essentially steady energy throughout our morning and sustain us until our next meal. If our blood sugar level gets too high or too low, our body essentially perceives that as a threat. And when your body perceives something as a threat, it's going to immediately turn on your sympathetic nervous system state, which is essentially your stress response. And the number one food groups that really trigger that are high carb or high sugar foods. And if they're not balanced appropriately with the other nutrients like protein, healthy fats, and vegetables, then what's going to happen is we're going to experience that big blood sugar spike and crash, and then experience that dysregulation of the nervous system happening. Balancing blood sugar out throughout the day and stabilizing blood sugar is literally one of the number one root causes that I focus on in my practice. And it is so amazing and wild just to see how much people's lives just change in terms of their energy, their mood, their nervous system state once their blood sugar is actually more regulated. With that being said, let's get into the first food. Don't hate me for this one, okay? I'm warning you already. First food up is granola and yogurt. And you might be like, what? What are you talking about? Granola and yogurt is so healthy. So let's talk about this here. So yogurt doesn't spike your blood sugar levels as much, so your glucose as much, but yogurt does spike your insulin. And what a lot of us don't realize is that dairy is very sensitizing to our insulin hormone. So if you don't know what insulin is the hormone that allows your muscles and organs to use up glucose as an energy source. So insulin and glucose work very closely together. When you eat anything high in carbs or sugar, your pancreas releases insulin, and then your muscles, your organs can use glucose up as energy. And now dairy is extremely sensitizing to insulin. So it causes our pancreas to release a lot of insulin to be able to use it up as fuel. And this long term, if we're eating lots of dairy, can actually lead to insulin resistance. And a lot of my patients that come into my practice don't even realize this, but so many of them are already significantly insulin resistant. And you know the food group that they're having the most of oftentimes? Dairy. They're having so much dairy in their diet and they don't even realize that that dairy is sensitizing their insulin and actually making all of their other symptoms so much worse. The other thing too is that granola is pretty much all carbs and sugar depending on the type of granola that you are having. So if you're having granola and yogurt, you're getting a big insulin spike essentially in the morning. So it's not to say that you can't have granola and yogurt in the morning, but you want to balance this out more. And at the end of this video, I'm going to essentially share a breakfast formula for you, but just some ideas as to how you can balance out this granola and yogurt more. Add some protein to it. You can mix some protein powder in there. You can add chia seeds in there. A chia seed pudding. So you could add like a couple of tablespoons to chia seeds to some sort of like high protein, like almond milk, cashew milk, mix it together. That chia seed pudding would be way better for your blood sugar levels than the yogurt and the granola. And then you could also add some high antioxidant foods like berries in there, add some cinnamon in there, some vanilla extract, add some nuts and seeds and getting just some more of those healthy fats. And you can even mix a bit more of that protein powder in there as well. And that is going to be so much more stabilizing for your blood sugar levels. If you really want to stick with the granola and yogurt, be mindful again of your insulin levels, but you could always add some more protein to it, add some nuts and seeds or nut butters to it. You could even mix chia seeds in this and really make sure that you're balancing the granola and yogurt out by getting in some of those vegetables or high antioxidant fruits and making sure you're really getting enough protein with this meal. The next meal up we have is oatmeal. Another really big one, and don't get me wrong, I love me some oatmeal. A warm bowl of oatmeal, especially in the winter, like it hits, it slaps, okay? I love it. But what ends up happening is that, again, similar to the granola and yogurt, if we're not balancing out the oatmeal with the other food groups, you're basically getting a big bowl of sugar. Oatmeal is all carbs. It's all carbs. Yes, it has some protein in there, but it's mostly carbohydrates. So if you're having like a whole cup of oatmeal, you're just having a big bowl of sugar in the morning, and that's what you need to start seeing it as. So how do you really balance this oatmeal out more so that you're not getting that big blood sugar spike and crash? So one, I use a high protein oat. It's called Bob's Red Oatmeal. It has a few extra grams of protein than regular oatmeal. And then I'll only have like a third cup of oatmeal. And within the oatmeal, I'll actually mix a scoop of protein powder. One of my favorites is Good Protein. So I'll mix a scoop of protein powder in there. I'll add a whole cup of like berries and cinnamon in there, getting a lot of high antioxidant type foods in there. And then I'll add some nuts and seeds, or I'll add a tablespoon of peanut butter or almond butter in there. So now I've balanced the oatmeal out with some of those other food groups. So I'm not just getting a big bowl of sugar and a big blood sugar spike. Most of the calories from the oatmeal shouldn't be coming from the oatmeal. It should be coming from the other foods in there. The other option and thing you can do too is to try to make savory oatmeal. I personally love it. I got one of my patients to make it last week and she told me, she's like, I hated it. I was like, I'm so sorry. But everybody's taste buds are different. So take this with a grain of salt. But savory oatmeal, I personally really enjoy it. So what I like to do is I like to take my third cup of oats and I'll add some egg whites in there and eggs in there so I can really get more protein. And then I'll add veggies in there and just add some sort of other flavors and spices in there so that oatmeal actually becomes savory. I think that oatmeal can be such a great carb on the side. Like if you ever don't want to make like rice, if you just want to, try something different, actually try oatmeal as a carb on the side. It's just become so creamy and delicious. And I've personally been loving using oatmeal as something other than just a breakfast food and using it in this like savory fashion way. So if you try it, comment below and let me know how it goes. And then the third morning food is essentially avocado toast. This is another really big one. Couple years ago, this was huge. Everybody and their moms was making avocado toast. And I remember I was eating it so often as well. But what we don't realize is that if you're having 2 pieces of toast and avocado, you're having a whole bunch of carbs and then you're having fat, which is great. But you're missing out on some of the other key nutrients that are also really important, more specifically the protein. And as you can see, the theme with all of these foods is making sure we're really getting enough protein. And really shortly, I'm going to walk you through the morning formula that I want you to follow when you're going to be making your breakfast in the morning to really stabilize your blood sugar levels. And so with the avocado toast, you really want to make sure you're getting enough protein. So 1 egg has 6 grams of protein. So if you're having 2 eggs with your avocado toast, you're only getting 12 grams of protein when you need way more than that. So what I usually like to recommend is I usually tell my patients to have like a half a cup of egg whites with their avocado toast, or you can have a protein shake on the side with the avocado toast. So you want less of the toast in the avocado toast and you want more of the avocado and the protein. This is essentially the breakfast formula that I want you to follow in the morning that is going to stabilize your nervous system and give you so much energy, so much calm to start your morning off with and to keep that going. So number one is getting protein. And specifically, you want to get 30 to 35 grams of protein in the morning. Very, very important. Protein is the building block of all our feel-good hormones and neurotransmitters. If you really want to feel stabilized and calm, you have to make sure you're getting enough protein. And if there's anything that you want to start off with mastering first, it's mastering getting in protein, all right? Then the next food group after that you want to make sure you're getting in are some sort of healthy fats in the morning. So what does healthy fats looks like? Avocados, nuts and seeds, nut butters, tofu, edamame, fish, eggs. These are all forms of healthy fats. So you want to make sure you're getting at least some sort of handful of healthy fats in the morning, whether that's flax seeds or chia seeds. All of that counts as essentially healthy fats within that food group. So it can be quite easy to get. Find the healthy fats that you really like and then kind of rinse and repeat through them. Healthy fats are very important because when you look at your brain, and when you look at even just like your nerves and what they're connected through, these brain cells are connected through fat. That's what allows your brain cells to actually communicate better and faster with each other. And your brain is like 60% fat. So we definitely need some form of healthy fats in the morning. And then the last food group that you want to add in are polyphenolic foods. Polyphenolic foods. So polyphenols are a compound that specific foods have, and they essentially act as a very high antioxidant in the body. They help to decrease inflammation. And there's so much research coming out on polyphenolic foods and just how helpful and nourishing they are for our body. So this is definitely a food group that you don't want to miss out in the morning. So what are some foods that are high in polyphenols? So foods like berries, dark colored fruits like plums and cherries and black currants, green tea, nuts, extra virgin olive oil, seeds like flax and chia seeds, vegetables like kale, broccoli, spinach, red onions, artichokes. I literally put it on my grocery list this week to get artichokes because I have not eaten artichokes in a really long time. And then even things like dark chocolate and coffee also act as polyphenolic foods. But I would encourage you, don't have like an entire bar of dark chocolate in the morning. Try to use up, that polyphenolic compounds from like some of the other foods like the berries and the veggies. It's going to be so much better for you. So it's the combination of these three groups together, and then optional if you want to have some carbs, by all means go ahead, have some oatmeal, have a piece of toast if you want to, but you want to make sure that you're really filling up mostly on these foods in the morning, and that carbohydrate component is optional if you want it. If you are a woman who's menstruating a week or two before your cycle, having a bit more higher carb foods can actually be so much more nourishing for you. But you really want to put your emphasis essentially on getting these three food groups in the morning as a must. Here are 4 additional tips that I want you to remember for your breakfast in the morning to really help to stabilize your nervous system state. So number 1, protein first. Protein first always. You always want to ask yourself, what protein am I having in the morning? And then form your meal around that. Protein first, caffeine after. Have your caffeine after you have had your breakfast first. If you are already in a dysregulated nervous system state, having coffee on an empty stomach is going to dysregulate you more. So get yourself out of the dysregulated state, and then you can actually handle coffee on an empty stomach. You also want to make sure that you're balancing your plate out, right? There's not a big emphasis on high carbohydrate, high sugar foods, and you're balancing your plate out with the protein, healthy fats, and polyphenolic foods. And then lastly, no naked carbs, no waking up and having 2 pieces of toast with your coffee and that's all you're having, or just a big bowl of oatmeal. We're not having naked carbs anymore. No, No naked carbs allowed. We only want carbs that are dressed, okay? Dressed carbs are sexy carbs. That's the new mantra and rule that I essentially want you to follow. So you want to make sure that your carbs are dressed with the protein, healthy fats, and polyphenolic foods to really prevent that blood sugar spike and stabilize your nervous system state. I hope that this video was helpful. If you're looking for more personalized support for your nervous system state specifically, that's going to match your lifestyle and it's going to fit well in the life that you're living, I would encourage you to book a free discovery call with me so that we can chat about what support for you looks like.